me the opportunity for you to ask questions. So if you have a question, again, the microphones are in the back of the room. At least one that I can see. I believe there are two of them back there. But if you have a question, step up to the mic and fire away. We went through this in Iowa Falls. The guys up here are willing to talk about anything, right?
Sure, Dick.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for coming down here, guys. Really appreciate it. I guess first thing is our two relievers there, Brian and Ryan. Thanks so much for, well, frankly, being the good part of the ball club last year. That was something that was actually, we knew that at least in a 9-inning game, at least a few innings of the game, we could look forward to, and hopefully keep it up this year. That's certainly with the addition of some starting pitching. That hopefully we can shore up that side of it. That, having said that, it segue into my primary question. We've made the acquisitions on the pitching staff. I guess my just a general question would be to Paul or to Dick or all you guys. What moves are we going to make, or in general, or are we done as far as any big moves, or are we still looking to make some moves to get some more offense?
Sounds like a great question for a coach.
Oh, me. I wasn't sure where that was going at first.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you
sorry
guys,
about that.
and then, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know Terry's still out there, looking at the free agent list. Some of the better hitters remaining, Morales and guy from Texas. I know Morales has a draft choice attached to him, and they're really not very good fits for our club. I think, if there's any potential trades out there, Terry's very protective of the players in our minor league system, is not going to give up some of our top guys to improve our offense. Last year was a rough year offensively. We struck out too much. We didn't hit the ball over the fence enough. Base running wasn't very good. There's a lot of room for improvement, but it doesn't mean that the guys that are coming back won't have a chance to improve in those areas, either through experience, through whatever it takes for them to get better. It's going to be a little bit different look, especially with Joe going to first. But we have to find a way to score more runs. That's the bottom line. And hopefully we'll start instilling some of that and what it takes to get that done in spring training.
Next question.
This question's for Paul. First of all, I appreciate all the job that you guys are doing in the organization. Paul, being an old school guy myself, I wanted to know who was the toughest left-handed pitcher that you've ever faced and the toughest right-handed pitcher that you ever faced in your career?
The toughest pitchers I've ever faced, it kind of changed decade to decade, but, the easy choice and probably the similar for a lot of players. When I faced Nolan Ryan when I first got to the big leagues, I never saw anybody throw like that in the minor leagues, in college. It was like unbelievable, and when he threw that curveball with it. Plus, he just as soon, I think, hit you as strike you out, which I made the mistake of trying to bunt on him as a rookie. I paid the price the next at bat. But Randy Johnson was probably the toughest left-hander I ever faced. Between his wingspan being about 12 feet and 6'10", and his release point felt like it was right on top of you. And he had two way above average pitches. When I was young, I tried to hit his fastball. When I was old, I tried to hit his slider. But those two guys stick out for me.
I realize now why I couldn't see the other microphone. It's right under the lights over there, but we do have a microphone and somebody with a question there.
Question for Brian. August 9th, 2013. How great a day was that for you?
Great.
At night.
What was that?
Night doubleheader.
Oh, that was fun. Oh yeah, doubleheader in Chicago. That was a great time actually. Yeah, 2 wins in the same day. Kind of fell into place. Right spot, right time, and next thing you know, you got 2 wins. I didn't know the history behind, I guess, the record, I guess you can say. But yeah, it was exciting. I kept the balls, I guess, more than one, and it was fun. Obviously, a memorable night. I remembered what you were talking about, but no, that was great. That was a lot of fun.
I believe, as I recall, the only pitcher in franchise history to do that was Walter Johnson, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep, okay.
You're
Back
the
over
answer
here.
to my newest trivia question.
Back over here.
This is Jake. Yeah, although you're in the minor leagues, but more towards the major leagues. But you know, we've been waiting for some pitching for a while. It seems like with the Twins organization, and finally we got some power pitchers, some young power pitchers that are coming up, and hopefully on the horizon of getting there. And it seems like this year maybe we got some innings eaters to fill in some innings for us throughout this season. Do you think that those innings eaters will block our young pitchers from getting to the majors, or will the fact that, I mean, if they're good enough, they'll just get there?
Excuse me. Well, I think not having or having too much pitching is a pretty good problem to have, and I think I speak for everybody. Think we would definitely love to have that problem. Last year we drafted Cole Stewart, fairly high, young man out of Texas, high school pitcher who's got a pretty good arm. And we drafted another young man, a left-hander out of California. Both have pretty good arms. But really what happens, Brett Lee's a prime example, and Brett's here tonight. Pitchers have to get outs. And whether it's a power pitcher or a control guy, they still have to make a pitch. It's nice to get a strikeout in big situations. There's no doubt about that. But the cream always kind of rises to the top. Sometimes it's not a guy that you expect. A lot of the times, and that's always a nice surprise, but it's always good to go into spring training with a competition. If pitching's one of those competitions, that just makes a ball club a lot better.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to bring a question up to Ryan and to Brian. Our bullpen has been so taxed over the last few years, and we've had a lot of arms out there. Like Jake said, getting outs. Brian, I know you've served as a long reliever before. That's one of those positions where you're, thrown out in the middle innings, just trying to get outs and keep the game somewhat within reach. Along with Swarzy, with Anthony Swarzak, would you guys, take the opportunity to be the long reliever, or where do you guys see yourselves in the bullpen?
I'm glad you brought up Anthony Swarzak. I feel like he kind of got overlooked a little bit last year. He probably was kind of the unsung hero for all of us in the bullpen. He had 98 innings, under a 3 ERA, and as a long guy, when you're throwing 98 innings in a season, that kind of tells you something isn't necessarily clicking. And I mean, like I said earlier, if myself being the long relief guy or Ryan being the long relief guy is what's going to take for us to get to the playoffs, and by all means, hand me the ball. I'll go as long as I can for you every night if I have to. But it's a tough job. It's something that gets overlooked because by that point, usually the game might be out of hand for the most part, and it kind of gets overlooked.
I have questions. What will we do for younger person who in junior high or high school? What do we suggest for people who just want to play baseball? And I'd like to hear what you have on younger person, like 5 or up, because people get burned out of baseball.
Well, Paul, let's ask you that because you came through and you played some other sports as well. But the question is, for young kids, what would you suggest to allow them to develop as a baseball player without burning themselves out?
Well, just briefly, I'm opposed to the trend of young athletes gravitating to one sport year-round. I understand that some individual sports, whether it's gymnastics, figure skating, some of the ones where they peak at about 16, but they're getting a lot of pressure from coaches. Basketball, hockey, baseball, you got to play year-round, otherwise you might not make the team, and this and that. Part of growing up is playing a lot of different things, exposing yourself and trying to enjoy yourself, as you grow up. But just to enjoy the experience, respect the instruction and the instructor, and whenever you stop participating in sports, I would think a good thing to do would be able to walk away and say, I don't have to say, if I only would have done this. If you're going to do it, commit to it, have some fun, and let it take you where it might take you.
We're trying to get two more in, starting over here under the light.
I had a question about replay coming up this year with the expanded replay, maybe from coaching or broadcasting or pitching. How do you see this season being different?
You're my go-to guy. You take all the tough ones.
I don't like it. I had trouble with the home run originally. I understand why they want to do it because football is leading the way and we have the technology. I've already gotten an email from Caravan about this extensive list of what you can contend against and what you can't, and now they're going to start trying to position base runners on fair balls that were called foul, and you get one. You can throw the flag once before the 6th inning and twice after the 7th inning, and I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, but I don't like it. So that's where I'm at.
And one more over here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. This question's for Jake. With you being brother to Joe, you've grown up with him for a long time. You probably know his swing better than anybody else. What kind of year should we expect with him moving from the dish to first base? Is he going to kind of get back to that MVP type status, or what do you think?
I hope so. He's a lot easier to deal with when he's on the field, I'll tell you that. He's kind of an ornery guy when he's not playing. I think the move to first base, I think, will be a very good one for him. I know the concussion that he had last year, plain and simple, scared him. And not knowing, if you hurt a knee or an elbow, there's set parameters. You do this, and you're usually better. And with concussions, there's not a lot known about it. There's not a lot known as far as recovery and things improve. So I know early he was, I want to say, very enthused to play first base. I think he still feels he's a catcher. I think he still feels like he can be a very good catcher, but I think he understands what could happen if he gets dinged in the noggin again. It's probably my fault from beating on him when he was a little kid, but he understands that this move's going to be not only better for his health, but also I think for the ball club. I think you expect him, to get 5, almost 600 at-bats. And Joe's always seemed to be the guy that if he's able to stay on the field, the numbers kind of take care of himself. And I know the way that he's preparing this winter is that he's preparing to play, 160, 162 games. So I think it'll be good for him. I think he'll, not to say he doesn't like first base, but I think he's going to fall in love with it in August and September when his body feels pretty good and the bat speed and everything's still there. So I know he's looking forward to getting back on the field and getting back out there with these guys and hopefully making something good happen.
All right, good questions. And with that, I think we're going to excuse the people here at the head table to go down to the autograph table down there.